What a rush. Let's just do wrestling promos today, Alden.
Well, let me tell you, no, we don't like him anymore. Well, we could do a rest in peace. That's how I feel, definitely. I definitely feel like I'm resting in peace already after this week. This is not a wrestling-themed episode, although it might as well be, because we will be talking about characters in spandex, doing great feats, people misunderstanding the storytelling, blah, 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 blah. There will be a lot to discuss in a unusually superhero-themed episode, which is fresh for you, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Or somewhat fresh for you. I mean, you were on Movie Talk for years, so it's like you've been down this road.
Was I?
But yeah, I know you repressed those times. But yeah, you were. You actually helped create the landscape we're in, Ken. Did you know that?
I did. I really actually did. And I one time said that at New Rockstars off-air upset because a lot of those fucks there didn't want to learn the industry better. And that's why I got let go. I've been, Alden, I've been my own problems for a long time. But yeah, hey, how you doing?
Hey, how are you?
It's a Friday. It's anytime. Good question. I keep asking a lot of people that, and you ask that, and me that, and I asked you.
Sure.
And it's important to ask it. How are you? We all know the answer is shitty. To finding sunlight and pinpricks of sunshine in the darkness. But I'm okay, buddy. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing bad, but in the sense that I'm not gonna start the show on that foot, you gotta, exactly.
I think that's important too. I think we're not gonna be like great in toxic positivity, but I think it's important to perspectives. All those things do kind of work and keep you afloat for one more week. Little housekeeping, I should say. We should say, Alden. Thanks to all who tuned in last week.
Yes.
Perhaps the thumbnail worked. You all press and like, which we would love for you if you're watching now. Press that like button.
Yes, indeed.
We're in a system. We don't always like the system, but we're here in it. And it worked last week with a lot of people jump in. Good response to the episode and gain 40 subs, which means we are partnered and continuing to grow. So thank you very much. We'll announce maybe some channel membership ideas, everything. You can super chat, super thanks, super sticker, all those things now too, if you want. But we're happy to be here. So that was fun, Alden. That was a little bit of a yay.
Yeah, it was a nice little boost. It was our most viewed, certainly since Anytime became its own channel like a year and a half ago. I'd have to fact check if it's the most viewed of all time of our live shows. But yeah, a great turnout, new faces, people liking, interacting, good energy. Thanks for being here again.
Great.
And as Coop says, it is a Friday once again. It's true.
Are you doing a Coop impression there? A Boop-and-Time impression?
What
is that?
That's a Lynch impression.
It's your Lynch impression.
Lynch's thing.
Got it. I thought you were doing a character based off your friend Coop.
No,
I was like, wow.
Coop has a nice speaking voice. Thank goodness. Okay. Thank goodness. I honestly can say with my whole heart that I don't think I have a friend who has a really annoying voice. And I also would like to say that I think I would admit it if I did.
I've been told I have a good and annoying voice. I have an annoyingly good voice.
I think it is very good. You told me a few episodes ago that, I mean, we're not going to name names unless you want to, but that somebody in the VO community, which we're going to talk about them today, told you that you wouldn't be good for VO, and I don't believe that.
Well, no, you're misunderstanding. No, sorry, no. No, other way around. Because I'm actually starting to coach with them soon. It was I said, I don't think I just want to read mattress ads, and they're like, well, that doesn't really exist anymore. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm much of an actor. They just got really okay. We can revisit that, and now I am.
Okay,
just in case that person's watching.
Positive update. Positive
update. It was me, Alden.
I thought it was that they were like, nah, this isn't for you. And I was like, oh, damn. That's great.
Yes, I just wanted to. David McKay follows my life through podcasts, and I love it. Ken I wanted to do voiceover, not voice acting, but really it's all the same thing. Even if you're selling a mattress, you're acting. And I just had to get in the right mindset.
That's true. That is
on
true.
the show today, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man is woke, you dipshit. But we're going to go into, I won't say all angles of the conversation, but we got an actor who said something, showrunner defended him. Just talk about the state of a lot of those things. Anthony Mackie comments, executive orders, presidential memos, Alden. We know what caused that horrific accident at the Reagan Airport. DEI. That's official. It was signed.
Of course. It was absolutely DEI. DEI said with a hard R. That is what caused the entire thing. And it's like, yeah, I mean, we'll start there because Spider-Man's the main topic and that's going to be a big cultural thing. But like, like part of the challenge of doing these shows right now is like, okay, we don't do a news segment right now. Like maybe we would if you guys were paying us or if anyone wants to fund us, full time. I'm just saying, super chats are active now. But
$1 million.
And it's like, what are we like? Again, I did some light producing, so if you'll permit me, I'm gonna read off the iPhone note.
I love
things that we won't have time to hit.
I did some light. Look, I wrote these two things down. Spider-Man, Mackie,
perfect.
Light producing.
In the AKA iPhone note, it says, "Red alert." With the emojis for the siren, so it's serious. Watto has been murdered. For more on that, hit up Force Center. We'll see when the comic book comes out. Noted slave owner butchered by the boy he used to own. I'm gonna call that Vader's first morally correct kill. I think he's justified for the first time. He's justified.
But we have to wait, right? We have to wait. Charles Soule has said, "Hey,
that's true.
Hey, unless I'm sharing it."
Don't
trust the context.
In other news, we had RFK is a moron. That's all my note says. That's all I had because I didn't know how to sum it up.
Gonna get. Is he gonna get it? He's gonna get it. Oh my God.
Honestly, man, look, they put in someone that they know for sure abuses women, whose own mother said he does, right? So it's like, and by the way, the crash happened on his watch, and has he said or done anything about it since that's his purview now? No. Right. He was busy also complaining about minorities. But like they put him through RFK. I will say, to give the Democrats some very light credit, which they don't deserve a lot of right now. And I'll get into that as well. Especially Senator Bennett from Colorado. They smacked RFK harder than I've ever seen in a confirmation for a confirmation hearing. Like whether it was him, whether it was Bernie, whether it was Warren, like this was like there was not a single moment of RFK looking good. So if he does get it, it will probably be the most egregious, I think, of all time. Maybe for the cabinet. You could argue Kavanaugh because we had a hearing for that too. But
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, I have to admit, I have not watched 1 second, not even clicked on things that are clipped out by like Bernie saying stuff to RFK, because the Hesketh one, I got that little bit of flash of false hope where I'm like, he's not going to go. Oh, they're not. And then
you don't want to be hurt again.
Yeah, I don't want to be hurt. And
it's
then Sean Duffy, who I used to watch on like Real World Road Rules. And I said this on Blather yesterday. I was saying here, you can start anywhere. Like, it doesn't matter. You can be a bartender, become a representative. It doesn't matter where you start. Or as a Skywalker taught us that. Yeah. But it's surreal. It's surreal. And him being a climate denier, unqualified, and Adam Schiff votes for him. Schiff, a Democrat, votes for him. Insane. His city just nearly burned to the ground because of climate change, because of climate collapse. And you voted for him. So RFK, Alden, I didn't watch.
Yeah, it's definitely not fun. It's just it ties in with my other frustration, which was, why is the opposition so lame right now? I give them credit for RFK. I don't give them credit for anything else. And what I mean by that is there is a leadership crisis. Obviously, I think today, right, they're choosing the new head of the DNC, and so or at least beginning that. So it's like, but when you look at the people that like position themselves as being these voices, you had Hakeem Jeffries with his administrations come and go. God is always on the throne, and it's like, yeah, God's not clocking in on Capitol Hill. Can you do something, please? Like, can you like? And also, by your logic, God was on the throne for the Holocaust and 9/11, Nam, COVID. Like, what is you're not helping this case of yours by
Yeah.
saying he's always there. That makes him look incompetent, or it makes you look incompetent.
Yeah. It makes God God's
Either
looking at
way.
them. God's looking
Or
at the
both.
post. What?
Yeah.
What are you doing to me?
Yeah. God's like, they're not media trained.
You want to get into religion? I'll get into religion. By the way, I got a great interview on the Blathering coming out Tuesday with Andy from Genders, Queers, and Buccaneers, and great one with Jerry the Canon Junkie in it out and about. I love talking about this religion stuff, and I do think it comes down to how we misunderstand and how we've been presented destiny and fate too. That doesn't involve choices. Yeah. And God, if you choose to believe, still involves choices. Yes. Still involves that old parable of the person drowning in the ocean, and then a ship and a boat and a life raft comes, and the person turns it down every time because no, God's going to save me, and then he dies and goes to heaven, and God's like, yeah, I sent you a boat, a ship, a life raft, and you didn't get on it. Jeffrey's great post. You're cultivating the evangelicals who didn't vote for you. Let's get on that life raft. Could you please do something?
But even aside from him, you also had like Eric Swalwell saying like, Donald Trump doesn't back the blue, he backs the coup. And it's like, that someone in his office was like, blue and coup rhyme. Blue and coup rhyme. Get that in the next speech. And it's just like, you guys, they're trying to run an 08 Obama playbook, but with no charisma whatsoever. And none of the like forward thinkingness, which is not to worship Obama. Of course, he had his own faults. Of which were some of which got us here today, but it's just like there's this like real bad, there is no one driving the ship feeling right now, and these people are not all prepared for anything, and we're not even 2 full weeks into this. It's bad.
Sorry, I was trying to favor it. No, I was trying to favor that comment because I was going to let you finish.
No, I just read it. I just read it.
Anthony Crotty. It seems like we need to read this like William Hookins in Indiana Jones. Yeah, seems like they're putting their top people in the administration. Top people. Top men. Love that. We also had our first official Anytime Super Chat from Jared the Type Pilot. Can we just burn it down and start again? Oh, then he follows up with watch DS9. You could toss all the money in the world, Jared. I am not watching DS9.
We're working on one thing at a time. Once we get Lion King done, then you can start this project. All right. We're moving toward one thing.
This? 1,000 subs. I watch Lion King.
1,000 subs on this channel, and I will go to Burbank and watch The Lion King with Ken Napzok.
Okay.
And I guess we'll record a commentary because it's like I can say that, right? I could say we're gonna watch it together, but it does nothing for the audience unless we.
It does nothing. Yeah.
So we will record a Lion King commentary. I had stuff about the Republicans, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
What was your question?
Which one's that? Can you feel? What movie is that from?
That's Lion King. Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Elton John and Hans Zimmer. Elton did songs, Hans did score, and they mixed it up. I think he got original song that year at the Oscars for that.
Yeah. And I remember really trying to explain to you and the youngers that our generation was like, the hell is Elton John doing with cartoons? What's he doing?
Yeah.
And then we were wrong.
You were wrong, but it's okay. You all learned, you guys, you come
you're
around.
You're a rock legend. What are you doing with cartoon movies?
Yeah.
Singing these. Oh, you're winning awards. Okay.
Yep. I also wrote about the by the way,
for Tim Rice. Yeah, you forgot Tim Rice, the co-writer, the Bernie Taupin of Elton in that era on those movies.
I want to stress real quick. We will do more talk about the lack of democratic leadership. We just got a lot to get through today.
Oh, and I'm also I'm restless today. I'm cutting you off.
No, not at all.
I'm an a-hole today, Alden.
Not at all. You're so nice. You're my Ken. I said I shit you not. Yeah. On my honor, I literally said this today to thine own mother, or I guess thine would be yours. Mine.
Yes.
My own mother. I said, people like Ken have been more family to me than our own family lately. So you could be an asshole as much as you want, as far as I give you license to be an asshole. I'm tired of everyone else.
Okay.
I choose you.
Yes,
by default.
Hey, Alden, try this soup. I made this soup. Oh, you like it? Oh, you like it.
You're gonna be one of my groomsmen if and when I ever decide to commit to that. I'm gonna have the wildest groomsmen group of all time.
Shahid's got a very fair question. You've never seen The Lion King? Nope, never seen The Lion King. It came out when I was in high school. We all made fun of it. We all made fun of the people who saw it. And like I said, I grew up as a nerd, but I grew up also in different worlds. So it was just also pop culturally, it was a different time. And we are like, nah, my generation, nah. But I have a lot of friends in my generation who saw it, love it. But me and my friends were like, nah, we're not seeing that. So I never saw it.
It's important to note too that like you and Joseph Scrimshaw, who also hasn't seen it, of course, from Force Center, like that same year, you high school guys that were creative and writing and doing, sketch comedy and writing plays, whatever it was you were doing, you guys had fucking Pulp Fiction that year. Like you guys were a little preoccupied.
I was in screenwriting. I was in film video production college. Pulp Fiction was we all were like, the Clerks and that.
Yeah, this is gonna be us. Yeah,
I
get it.
You all understand, but you had to be there when Clerks. You could feel just the tremors slowly moving out into the industry and changing the game. By the way, how cool do you think I am? Because I know you think I'm pretty cool, but am I cooler that 80% of the historical moments featured in SNL docs, looking back over last 50 years, I watched live, kid, live.
I am jealous of you for that a little bit because I had that thought, especially during the music doc. We're talking about the SNL 50 programming on Peacock, which is highly recommend because
it's really good.
All of their programming is great. They're also about to do a live concert from Radio City with an insane lineup of every genre. They just announced it. Yeah, but it's like they spared no expense. Apparently, they got Gaga, Miley Cyrus, just like insane lineup. But I did have that thought, especially during the music one of being like, there's been over 900 of these musical performances, and they've had everyone who's ever mattered and people that historically probably don't. And they've treated them with equal care. They've treated them with like giving them their moment to shine. They got to see in real time the relationship between music and comedy, which I love that they emphasize that so much, like how they're kind of like sister art forms.
Rock and roll, baby.
And it was really cool. And I am jealous of you guys because you guys, everybody says like the best era was before, right? Or the best era was the one that they had. But you had several eras, all of which were cool.
Man, on a cold night in February 1994, I got to watch live when Patrick Stewart said salt and pepper.
That's the best. It's the best.
I watched Sinead.
I was about to say, were you watching Sinead?
Yeah, I watched, absolutely. And again, as was the style of the time, we all went, what a crazy person. And when Joe Pesci comes out the next week and makes fun of her, we're like, Pesci, yay! Like, looking back.
Yeah.
As Al Franken said, she was kind of right.
She was right. I love that cut to Franken. It's so good. Everybody reflecting and that's the funniest part is people being like, how did we get away with that? Or how their opinion has changed, right? Like, or how they can now say their real opinion is really nice.
We'll move on from SNL, but Jared asked this with a super chat: is SNL still relevant? I would say overall, yes, absolutely. I'm not engaged with this much anymore. The difference is I was watching the writer episode, which was pretty fascinating. One of the writers was like, I was a playwright and I went to NYU to be playwright and everything, and then now I took this job, the most corporate comedy job. And that was the truth, but that made me kind of rattle because the whole point, it's been a corporate comedy job from day one, but the whole point was the kids took over the studio in the 70s and it shook the core of culture as it was at the time. And SNL just became the culture and you can't change it and everything. That's a different take on it. It's relevant in its own way now.
It's I mean, and everybody that is in stand-up and sketch will still tell you that it's still the pinnacle. Even like I've seen comedians that I like now that are in my age group say, "Oh yeah, I got the audition, didn't get it," and that's still the golden ticket. Like even comics that will say, "Used to be better," still acknowledge like to get knighted by Lorne Michaels and to be a part of that and to have your picture in those halls. Like so, it's relevant creatively and culturally, but it's also relevant business wise. Like I'm not shitting on Jared's question for asking, but
no, Jared's great.
I think for anyone that says it's not, it would be like saying Star Wars isn't. They've had almost the same longevity. Star Wars will be at 50 in 2 years. And it's like, yeah, everyone thinks this era was better. It had counterculture, and then it became a system. Like, they have very similar arcs, and but yeah, enduring in the way that like stuff that you like, even if you're not an SNL fan, a lot of it is because of SNL. Like, there are people that I know that love John Mulaney stand up that aren't SNL fans, and it's like, okay, but like, yeah, understand that that era of SNL was built by Mulaney and Hader and Kristen Wiig and all those people. So it's like, dude, it has like, if you like the comedies of the 2000s, like we're like Will Ferrell elf kids, you know, like he wouldn't have gotten that job if it wasn't for SNL. So it's like all of that translates.
It still changed your life. I do not know her, but Punky Johnson was serving me a drink at the Comedy Store bar, talking to me and Mark Ellis, and she was like, "Yeah, it's a nice one last night. I start my new job Monday." It was like, "What's the job?" Saturday Night Live. Like, and it changed. Wow. Like that dividing line is boom, boom, and so it's still relevant in that regard too. And yeah, I know she left the show last year, but anyways, all right.
Real quick on another comedy note, I also had my things to talk about before we settled on Spidey as the main topic. In terms of legendary comedic acts, I wanted to also just like note the unfortunate and kind of heart-wrenching, but Paul Reubens revelation from this week.
Yeah, I didn't even click on the story. Big PB fan. Didn't have time to click on the story this week. Yeah, go for it.
So I haven't seen the documentary. I don't know if it's available yet, but there's a documentary that I guess has material recorded that is like has from previous, obviously before he passed, and now there are like posthumous revelations happening in it that I don't know if he okayed them or like I don't know what the process was. I don't know if he was like, let them know after I'm gone. I don't know, but we now know. I think what, a year since he's been gone, maybe more.
Maybe
a little more. He was a gay man in what seemed like complete secrecy, unless you were his friend. But it's like he was never out, and it's like that always is horrible. But when you put it through the lens of somebody whose entire thing was about expressing himself and about creating a character that could spread so much like irreverent joy and was really clever and was so a part of alt comedy and a part of like inspiring all of you guys, especially in Gen X, like how huge he was and how huge he was for just like, not to put it in jokey terms, but like freaks in our culture, like taking the freakiness to the mainstream, like, and the fact that he didn't get to live his truth really sucks. And
it does, and speaks to why we stand for stand for the rights of others, but just stand. To me, it's not just simply it's the rights. But it's like the right to your own identity and your own journey to there, and how valuable and important and heartwarming that could be, and how tragic it can be, and how it is right now, and people that you and I know afraid to step out their doors. It's why we fight for it and why we talk about it. As a kid who grew up, Pee-wee was amazing and one of my favorite things. And when I was at the Groundlings, having a moment up in the green, the storage stuff above the stage, and having a moment by myself and seeing some Pee-wee props and just feeling I was really inspired. And fortunately, where we were at that time, I mean, fortunate is not even the word to describe it. But if he had been out and proud in public, I guarantee you I would not have been allowed to watch that show. You know, like that's the real looking back. And yes, if I talk about the Groundlings, like when I was a naive suburban white straight boy who moved to LA, and I remember having this revelation after like one or two levels of Groundlings where I was like, I'm saying this like in a car to myself, going, wow, I'm so naive. I'm like, wow, it's kind of weird. There's a lot of like gay guys in my class. It's weird that like a lot of them, by the time they get celebrities, they're not gay anymore. Like I just had this like. And suddenly I was like, oh. Oh, I was raised at, okay, I'm seeing now. And you start being exposed to so many different wonderful identities and people comfortable who they are. And that's the tragedy. And I'm happy to know now, happy to have it now with Paul Reubens.
Yeah.
Wish we could have had it then.
I always struggle with like the verbiage or like how I feel about like the in a better place or anything like that, because that's always a complicated, loaded, heady conversation. But I would hope that he knew. Molly is here, Molly Damon, of course, the great Molly Damon. said sounds like he gave permission to put it out. I hope that even though he didn't get to enjoy the love and the support, I hope that when he signed those documents, to release the footage or whatever it is, like I hope it gave him some peace. I hope that he was able to frame it in his mind as maybe a last little reveal or something. So,
yeah, Molly says sounds like he was part of it. Maybe, yeah, and he had been battling the cancer. It took him, right. So yeah, maybe I knew this was coming. Yeah.
So yeah, and Coop with a great comment that I cried reading the news. Having someone who formed my sense of humor be a part of the community, but never feeling like he could be himself sucks so hard. And David Mackay said, I watched the Luther Vandross doc last night, and even 20 years on, his friends won't talk about his sexuality. Yeah, it's it's very American. We'll talk about America a lot today in terms of our popular culture, but America has is in a constant cycle of trying to find what the acceptable prejudices are. Like we're just like a really just like vitriolic, reactionary, young baby country, and I think that for someone like Luther Vandross to be gone as long as he's been gone and people still not want to talk about it is like just you're not hurting anyone by speaking truth. I don't understand it, but it's a lot of conditioning, it's a lot of brainwashing. So
Yep. What else you got? This light person of yours.
Other pop culture news: Lady Gaga Mayhem finally announced. Thank God.
March LG7.
We need something.
Yep. Looking forward to that.
I wrote down that the Republicans still don't understand tariffs or coffee or the bird flu. So
but they're gonna. I was reading ground. Yeah, I was on Ground News this morning, as I always do. I don't have the affiliate code or any. They're not a sponsor, but I do recommend Ground News. I have a lot of fun reading it. Now the update is it starts Saturday, not March 1st. Okay, so this is happening, and it's going to get painful. And I hope it does. You know what I mean? I'm in that. Cool, mom. Cool, dad.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, there's a little bit of like vengefulness that comes with it for sure. There's always with the caveats of like, I don't want anyone to like actually anyone victimized to get hurt, but also there should also be some egg on people's faces. That's a balance. Like we're in a recession now, pretty much officially. The federal funding freeze, which is absolutely unconstitutional in every way, because that's not how money allocation works. The fact that all these deaths are on his hands in this plane crash, like we're in a bad fucking way. So it's you got to take the good news, like a Lady Gaga album or a Superman a TV spot to heart. They're going to be promoting the Superman during the Puppy Bowl this year, Ken. So that's going to be my big game this year.
Okay, so, I'll flip over to the Puppy Bowl.
Yeah, I have no football takes, but I'm about to share one. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
This is going to be a rare Alden Diaz football take. In the spirit of General Armitage Hucks, I don't care. I don't care if the Eagles win. I just need the Chiefs to lose.
Got it.
Like mostly because I hate everything they stand for culturally, and I hate all the people involved. And I really I need to see the smugness. I would rather the dirty freaks, the unhinged, monsters climbing telephone poles and flapping their wings. I would rather they win than these smug little fucks down here.
Welcome to sports, man. Welcome to sports. You got it right. Most of the world's going to be rooting against Kansas City. And they're great. The fortunate thing is, and that's sometimes what makes it so tough. They are great. And it's like be tough.
What I learn when I have these moments is that sports more so than anything is like you guys really are motivated sometimes by hate. And I say that in like a fun way, but like you had like when your team's out, I would imagine you start playing these mental games of like, what could I live with? What outcome could I live with?
You root for certain players. I'm rooting for Philly. I haven't put my bets in yet, but I'm rooting for Philly. Saquon Barkley's season is amazing, and the choice he made to go home to Philly. Like you get to the human stories. Dan Larson and I were talking, and I asked him about sports, and he doesn't catch up as much anymore. He goes, I kind of lost track of the characters. the sports' story. Sports are characters, and right now you got some villainous characters in Kansas City. You got some good ones. I like Travis Kelce. I actually like Travis Kelce. I think that locker room's probably an interesting thing right now, where you could see, he left X and the Taylor stuff and everything, and then you got Pat Mahomes the second and Harrison Butker, who are just mega dipshits. Yeah,
since you bring him up, Liv is here in the comments. She says, agreed, only because I'm tired of Travis. Now, Liv, safe to say, I mean, if you want to reveal that you're a big football fan, you can. But I'm going to assume that you're coming at this from the Swiftie angle. So if in as many characters as they allow you to have in the comment section, please explain to me, is there a shift happening? Are you all turning on him now? And I don't mean that dismissively. I just mean that, like,
I'd like to find out,
to me on the outside, like he was like the best boyfriend that she's had. That's how it seemed like they were treating him, the fans. That there was not going to be
I'm looking forward to this answer.
Negative songs about him or anything. Like I thought you were all waiting for this to be the marriage. So just let me know how that's going.
We're gonna talk about it on my show this week. I think the biggest prop bet for the Super Bowl is, are they going to get engaged at the game?
Could you imagine?
It's a big one. Steve and I are putting it together for this week. I'm gonna put down a bet.
He should if they're down, he should propose during halftime to psych out the other team. Like he should do that as a tactic.
My thought is, if they win, he's going down on one knee. If they win after the game, that's what I think is going to happen.
Got a couple more things here before we dive into Spider-Man and Captain America. Liv Update says the majority of Swifties are what we call Trav wives, and they're annoying as fuck. Oh, a Swiftie civil war, I see. A Swiftie schism.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. Molly with a light conspiracy.
Going into the conspiracy route, the NFL is rigged, and this is all part of the story. This was a 2-year. This was a 2-year angle they booked.
Yeah, this is the big mania blowout of Taylor Swift.
I can see Molly, the quarter of a wedding we just were at, smoking a cigar. Let me tell you something. This is all the work. It's work.
I love it. Molly, we gotta text about this. I want to hear your whole conspiracy. Last couple things I wrote down.
Yep.
1, this has 1,000 smiley face and laughing emojis. It says the AI bubble is bursting. This pleases me.
What's the source? Hit me. With
so
the
this is because of that, like, the AI model that China made. Was it called Seeker, I believe?
Deep Seek or whatever.
Seek, has like done so much damage to the market here that all these companies have lost. I think like there was like $8 trillion in value lost. Like everything started tanking, and
my Nvidia stock went down. Alden, my $20 went down to $6.
And that makes me happy on a petty level, because I want their whole industry to collapse. It has been nothing but bad for information. It's been nothing but bad for our industry. It has been nothing but bad for several other industries. It has been absolutely nothing but an issue, and with no regard whatsoever for anyone else. And I hope it implodes. I hope there's egg on everyone's face. Following
Disruption tech trends, it probably will, right? Do you think there's a point where, and there's always the dig in kind of, look, Siri's AI and everything, predictive text is AI. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the way I can't even apply for jobs on LinkedIn without them. Like, AI is currently helping you. What is it doing? What's it doing? Like, it's everywhere. It's invasive. Are you saying in that sense it will collapse, right?
I don't think we'll ever see it be gone, but I think it will have had its flash in the pan moment, and then we'll realize that the quality of all the work is worse. We're going to end up in, which we have already started to dip our toe into legal battles over copyright. We're seeing it the way that it's destroyed education. We're seeing the frustration from professors and universities. I spoke to, because I'm still in touch with all my favorite teachers, and I was talking to my senior year AP lit teacher, and her name is Sarah Phelps. Shout out Sarah. And she was telling me, she's like, Alden, I can't trust anything that was not written in my classroom. She's like, that has become the rule. She's like, I am now working unpaid, of course, extra time sussing it out. and trying to figure out new guidelines and all this stuff. So
Mhm.
it's never gonna, yeah, like as King's Poor Cow says, like it's never gonna leave because it's make things easier for lazy people. And yeah, but I think it will be like in the same way that we've constantly had these little, this is the next thing, Google Glasses or the metaverse, and then like it kind of happens and then it explodes and goes away.
And it's
like
already bigger than all that. I get that, but
yeah,
yeah.
I think it'll be like, and ultimately, I think, especially in entertainment cycles, where it's always like, the 70s happened and then the 80s responded, then the 90s happened, responding to the 80s, and that was like an indie revolution. And then I think we're heading for another time where it's like it's going to become gauche and uncool and considered stupid and low class to be depending on AI. Like we need to like bully these people, is what I'm saying. I'm advocating for a healthy amount of bullying. I'm advocating for some swirlies, some some locker shovings of the AI culture.
Let's do it. This will be the next Civil War. AI robots.
And then the final note is more of a question.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on clam chowder? Just like some New England clam chowder.
Absolutely disgusting. It's the worst possible thing out there. It's one of the worst things ever created. That scene in, was it Mando, where they go get the chowder, where the Mon Calamari are in the sweaters that you can buy at Ross for less. I retched. I grew up in Pismo Beach, California, which is a clam capital of the world type of thing. Like you drive into town, there's a giant clam statue. Clamming's now illegal, but as a kid, we could go to the beach and you could clam. And there's a famous clam chowder restaurant with lines out the door. I've stepped foot in it once. We'll never step foot in again. Sorry. That is like you got like a working, living sea tongue in your soup. You just putting a little pepper on it. Yeah, Alden, no.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. The only reason I ask this is because I found a can of New England clam chowder in my cabinet the other day, and I could take it or leave it, but it just made me realize like we're spending so much time talking about stupid shit like pineapple on pizza that we shouldn't even really be debating. But we're not debating, I think, weirder dishes like that we accept as normal.
Look, I know it's smiling. Dan, previous guest, Dan Food My Bear, said an official New Englander is a bad take. Look, and I saw our friend Gwen in the chat. They were banging their head against the wall against my pop culture opinions. I don't say this much on Force Center. I'm nicer there. If I think it, it's right. If I think it, it's right. I'm right. You're wrong. Oh, yeah. Clam chowder is an abomination, proving that there might be a God, and definitely a devil. That this horrible idea has come to pass as something served in a bread bowl.
Yeah. Sully, unfortunately, you got to donate $5 for this.
Yeah. No, Sully's wrong. Again, I'm right. You're wrong. Canadian bacon and pineapple is the best pizza choice.
Nonsense. So, all right, let's move into our main story here. I just wanted to...
We're 40 minutes in.
Just want to stir up some controversy.
That's bad YouTubing.
That's bad. It is bad YouTubing. It's our fault. It's my fault. It's my fault, really, because I had too many takes throughout the week. Because it's the problem is that at the day job, I'm like, what's going to go on the show this week?
Yeah, sorry. Dan's proven my own. It's basically warm clam cereal.
That's not a good pitch, Dan, you got to come up with something on your website to sell clam chowder to the Ken Napsocks of the world. That's your challenge. That's your challenge for 2025.
Yeah, you'll get me to watch Lion King before clam chowder. All right, hit me.
So it's been an interesting week for superheroes. Yeah. I'll guide us through this, and I'm interested to hear your opinions as well. All three of the major superheroes of this year. Well, I guess that's not true because we also have some Daredevil stuff. I nixed that part. Forget I said that. Several of the major superheroes of this year ended up in the discourse this week. There was a small little thing with like Superman where some fan was trying to tell James Gunn about his own VFX, and then James shit on him, which I love. I think that's the worst type of fan. We think that Sean Sullivan, $5 for bad take. This is my next bad take as well, Sean. I was joking, man. I appreciate that. You're the best. Thank you so much.
Now we owe Sean $10.
That $10, I'll remember that the next time I see you at a convention or something. I will get you an expensive convention hot dog.
So quite frankly, I should have billed Sully for the entertainment I provided on that dance floor at his wedding.
That's true.
I should have billed them. Should have invoiced you.
Much like Ula in Jabba's palace. Ken Knapsack was breaking it down to make everyone happy.
All right, yeah.
So yeah, I hate those types of fans, and so I was already in a bad nerd mood this week with superhero related stuff. So then we move into Captain America and Spider-Man. Captain America in a new film, Brave New World, starring Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford. And then there's a new animated Spider-Man series called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. There have been many Spider-Man animated series. This is like the 12th one, I think. But this one is like a new, fresh take adjacent to the MCU and blah, blah, blah. My first question is, what is your relationship, if any, to either of these characters as someone who is you can watch a Marvel movie and then move on, but it's not a core fandom for you? Do you care about Spider-Man and Captain America?
I enjoy them. I the first two Maguire films I was in the theater for, loved a lot. Yeah, I've the Marvel ones I've missed that are the standalone, the Spider-Man led ones, because I've just kind of peeled off. But yeah, they're classics. And Spider-Man crossed over to Transformers in the '80s in a comic run. So yeah, I like them all. Captain America. I like Anthony Mackie.
Nice.
So there you go.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm invested.
All right. So baseline, you get it, and I would say Spider-Man in particular has, much like Batman and Superman, is sort of at that Santa Claus Jesus level of like everyone knows the story whether they believe or not. You know, oh, that New York kid bitten by a spider. Like you got it. Right. Like everyone gets this, right?
Uncle Bad, Marissa Tomei, got it.
Yeah, exactly. Marissa Tomei, which truly the most important part of this whole thing is that we have Marissa Tomei as Peter's hot aunt.
Yeah.
So basically, where we're at here with both of these is an overall umbrella of bullshit where we have to apparently coddle the spectrum of person ranging from toxic bro online to Republican Disney executive, right? Like there's the same people that called everyone else snowflakes for the last decade, of course, are now upset about anything that does not adhere with their immediate views. And I would like to go on the record and say I am not somebody who thinks that shows like Willow and Acolyte getting removed were specifically because of queerness in them. However, it doesn't fucking look good. And it especially doesn't look good with all of the stuff that has happened since in the context. Now, you can speak to this a little bit in as much as you're comfortable sharing town talk. But like there is a vibe in Los Angeles right now of the anti-woke brigade is coming. And everybody is on edge because, especially in family and genre, of like, what can we do and what can we not? Is that fair to say?
In the sense of the winds of change have come, or at least people believe they have, and this applies to companies like Target quickly pulling, DI, it's done. I think there's a lot of people, this town, again, California itself is confusing. Blue, liberal California, it's red. It's red. There's two big blue spots. It's red. And I think this industry is like that too. There's a lot of blue. There's a lot of strong, proud, loud blue. A lot of the red are the people holding the lights, the sound, that stuff, and then higher ranked. So there's definitely some feelings that, that female lead Jedi thing. I don't know about that. There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of those rumblings. So we'll start with Spider-Man, the whole thing that we led with here. Spider-Man is woke dipshit is the thesis statement, because he is. And I would like to lay the groundwork here a little bit. So this voice actor, you have his name in front of you. It's Hunter something. I just forgot his last name.
No, it's Hudson Thames, who's actually more of a singer, musician, pop music, jazz, following the footsteps of his father Byron.
Okay, perfect. So Hudson Thames. Now, I would like to note, I watched the first two yesterday, and I really enjoyed them. So I'm going to say this is a cultural conversation. I understand, sometimes it's hard for people to watch things when the people that involved are shitty. I really don't think this stupid comment is like, don't watch level. That's for me, whatever. There's way more people that are involved in animation than one voice actor. That's just a fact. So I watched them, and not only is it embarrassing on the level of what Spider-Man is, it's embarrassing to say this in terms of the show that he's in. So on the base level of Spider-Man, and you and I texted about this week after I ranted about it on Blue Sky, Spider-Man is a lower, and these are consistent across all portrayals, because I also think there's a mentality sometimes of like, but in this version, it's not. So how could, okay,
right.
yeah, but like there are things that are consistent in adaptation. That's just how it is. He's lower middle class. He works for the press. He is constantly being crushed by the weight of societal unfairness. He embraces, loves, and works in science. He is always constantly supported by the women in his life, one of whom is, I mean, she's hot now in Marissa Tomei's version, but she's traditionally a frail, single mother figure who adopted him in after he lost his parents. He's Jewish, which has been a point of contention, not in that people have been upset about it, but in that is he not? There's enough evidence that has built over time. I just think at that time they couldn't be like, our flagship character is Jewish. Like it wasn't going to happen. But like all the signs point that way. And if you need more evidence, he has a Jewish wedding in Spider-Verse. Like it's right there. So he is Jewish. He says Happy Hanukkah in the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run. So it's there. He is all of these things, and he's always been these things. And so for anyone to say his quote was, it wasn't woke and annoying was his thing. Woke and annoying. It was just actually really well written.
Yeah. I'll read it. I thought it was awesome. I mean, my biggest fear was that it was going to be annoying and woke, and it wasn't. And I was like, yes, this is great. It's so well written. Like it feels real. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, so I feel like I kind of know what's happening in lives and in high school, and I felt like it was doing that justice.
Right. So the showrunner then came out and said, I think he misspoke, and it's like weighing on him. Is that correct?
Yep. I love Hudson and didn't focus too much on what he said. I believe he simply misspoke, and I know that's been weighing on him. This is Jeff Trammell, the showrunner.
All right. So let's give him the grace as a person. Okay. Let's just as a human being, we've all said stupid shit. We've all been a part of stupid shit. I know it's not the first time voicing the character. Marvel does that a lot, where it's like if you're a dependable X voice, you can always voice X. So like that happened. I mean, you're friends with Roger Craig Smith, right?
Yeah,
he's in this show, so it's like he's someone that Marvel goes to, I think, semi frequently, for different roles. So it's like if we could push him out, I know on Blue Sky I called him an idiot and I called him a dumbass, and maybe that's harsh.
Well, we're calling him a dipshit in the thumbnail, though. That might have been. And by the way, that was my title. I just wanted to get some attention.
Sure.
Hi.
Look, y'all.
Hi.
The word shit in last week's thumbnail worked really well.
I was like, let's do it.
Welcome to the shit show.
Yeah. That was me. That was me. Alden win.
Let's get David McKay. Let's give the dipshit some grace. That's going to be the ethos of the show in 2025. Let's give this dipshit some grace. Yeah. So let's remove my feelings about him and whether or not he stumbled or whatever. The fact that we are in this at all is such complete horseshit, because it comes from this mentality that's bothered me a lot, particularly in Star Wars. We have at some point, and where that point was is hard to determine, but we conflated everyone can have their opinion with every opinion is of equal validity and is equally substantiated. And that is just not true. Like if you tell me like Star Wars is not political, you're wrong. It's not my opinion that you're wrong. You're factually wrong. But because of the democratization of the internet, which of course, good, because of everybody having access to equipment and being able to put on those shows, which of course, good. Like these are net goods, but it has created this thing where it's like, well, I'm glad it wasn't this. And it's like, well, the sky is blue, man. Like there is a certain point where it's like, we have to stop with this. Like, yeah, I just didn't see it that way. Okay. Some of us are right though. And I think that giving too much leeway to opinions that are demonstrably false has created and helped bolster the misinformation, disinformation, lies culture that we're in. It's kind of bullshit that he was even allowed to say this without whoever interviewed him at Collider saying, not that I expect Collider of all places to have like, the pushback and everything because they want to maintain their access and everything, which is not shitting on them. It's just the way the industry is. I don't expect Collider to be like interesting because when Stan Lee created like that, it's not CNN, but it is kind of stupid that the verbiage even entered his mind. And it speaks to some really, really big problems. Like, and who are we trying to make comfortable by saying this, right? That's the starting point.
I want to add the big wrinkle. When you're in these spots, whether it's a press junket or they come to the studio, there's reps there.
Yes.
So there's studio reps.
Yeah.
Personal talent reps. Studio reps. And so I was talking about with our buddy Ken Plume. We know this speaks to what you asked me earlier of like, if that got out, that crossed some, I sign off on that from people around him.
Yeah.
Which is concerning to me.
Totally. So it's a problem. Now, if you'll permit me, I would like to read something from Spider-Man's co-creator, Stan Lee. Yeah. Caveats, of course, on Stan. He is, I think the best word to describe him would be somewhat of a carny, right? Something we're familiar with.
Yeah, history is written by the victors. Exactly. You mentioned his name around this town. It's not always going to be with yay. There's a lot of yays because a lot of people knew him, and it was I would say relatively nice. But yes.
You will never hear a Stan, and I think by now he's been gone long enough that we would have. You'll never hear a Stan personally victimized me story. You'll never hear a Stan was a shitty boss story. You'll never hear a Stan was rude story. But he was conniving, strategic,
in public,
and stole a lot. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to clarify.
In public. So a complicated man. Just wanted to get that out there because I didn't want to.
Yeah. No, it's a good caveat. It's a good caveat. Yes, because I don't want to take because he also has said and written some really good and important things.
Of course, like this man he's on the Walt Disney, George Lucas echelon of people that have changed our world with their art. He shares that, of course, with many people that should have also gotten the credit. But so he created Spider-Man with Steve Ditko. So he used to have a segment in the back of the Marvel issues called Stan's Soapbox, where he would stand on his soapbox, which should already tell you the tone that he was approaching these characters with. And he wrote this. Let's lay it right on the line. Bigotry and racism are among the deadliest social ills plaguing the world today. But unlike a team of costume supervillains, they can't be halted with a punch in the snoot or a zap from a ray gun. The only way to destroy them is to expose them, to reveal them for the insidious evils that they really are. The bigot is an unreasoning hater, one who hates blindly, fanatically, indiscriminately. If his hang-up is black men, he hates all black men. If a redhead once offended him, he hates all redheads. If a foreigner beat him for a job, he's down on all foreigners. He hates people he's never seen, people he's never known, with equal intensity and equal venom. Now, we're not trying to say it's unreasonable for one human being to bug another, but although anyone has the right to dislike another individual, it's totally irrational, patently insane to condemn an entire race, to despise an entire nation, to vilify an entire religion. Sooner or later, we must learn to judge each other on our merits. Sooner or later, if man is ever to be worthy of his destiny, we must fill our hearts with tolerance, for then and only then will we be truly worthy of the concept that man was created in the image of a God who calls us all his children. Pax et Justitia, Stan. That was in the back of a Spider-Man issue back then.
What year? Do you know what year?
It's hard to say because they turn them into graphics and like pull them out. But someone can get the age range of Stan's soapbox. I think it was like late 60s, like early 80s, maybe even earlier.
Point is, wasn't last week.
Yeah. So you get all that. You get the fact that Xavier and Magneto and the X-Men are MLK and Malcolm X combined with the Holocaust metaphor, combined with thank you so much, Eli. 1968, that was written. Combined with the queer metaphor, combined with all these things, Hulk being a reaction to the nuclear world, Steve Rogers, which Stan didn't create, but like we'll talk about Captain America as well. When you look at all these things, the audacity of anyone to say that wokeness was added now, the audacity of anyone to say that it's Disney, the audacity of anyone to say that it's John Watts or anyone that's worked on Spider-Man recently, you are beyond wrong. Like you're just demonstrably wrong and sometimes fucking stupid. And I don't know how we fix this, but it's like it gets to the point where it is, you know, as Jared from the Nerd Academy podcast, who's here, my friend and yours, we did this in a crossover talking about just like the Star Wars space and like, you know, fandom menace types and things like that, and how there's a pipeline, but like it's in all the culture. It's in rock and roll, it's in music, it's in country, it's in Spider-Man, it's in comedy. Like it all heads toward that. And this is just one of the many battlegrounds. But when you're looking at the actual material, and you come away with this, like, we just didn't want it to be woke. It's like the second you signed that contract to voice his character, you signed up to voice a woke character, a term which we should note we like, you know, took from the Black community, which is supposed to be good.
It's a
Jared is attempting to correct me here. Slight pushback. Malcolm and Martin are a parallel. It's been projected that Stan eventually co-opted sounds smarter, but it's very much something that can be projected onto it. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, Jared, you know what I'm saying? Why are you arguing with me about comic books? Fucking,
he's just.
Malcolm, there are parallel. It's been projected onto them.
Yeah, Jared, that's the point. Is that Stan created them and then they grew. Fuck it. Stop trying to audition. Jesus Christ. But it's like it's
he is the host of the Nerd Academy podcast. This is his job.
He's not accredited. People don't read comics all, and they act like they do. If they read comics, would see. Yeah, I mean, Cal's correct. No, Cal's unequivocally correct. These people don't understand the source. And I also, when I watched his episodes, I wrote down a few bullet points here.
Yeah.
So I watched the first 2 episodes of this show.
Oh, and the episode's great. Okay.
They're good. In these episodes, the Osborne family, which are typically powerful billionaire white people, are a Black family now. Peter Parker is now friends with a character named Lonnie Lincoln, who in the episode lives in a bad part of town. He's a tall, young Black kid, I think a senior in high school, with cornrows. He lives in a tough, little bit dangerous part of New York. He has literally a police officer tailing him while he's walking home and staring at him and like kind of trying to make it look like he's just driving by. Like, this is all right there. You have one of the scientists, who's typically Dr. Kurt Connors, is now Carla Connors and is now a woman of color. Spider-Man is also friends with Nico, who is a queer character who openly is making jokes about how she would want to pull the same girl that Spider-Man is crushing on. And then she's talking about the billionaire class through the lens of Osborn. And Peter Parker, who ends up becoming Spider-Man in these first 2 episodes, he stops a criminal and who had like robbed cash from a pizza store. And then when he's turning the criminal in, he pleads for the owner of the pizza shop to not, press charges, and lets her speak for herself. And she says, "I just lost my job. I was desperate. I'm really sorry. I have kids." And she cries. And Spider-Man's like, "She just made a bad choice. Like, she's just fallen on hard times." And like, this is all in 2 episodes of this show that this fucking guy did the voice work for. And that tells me that much like a certain someone voicing Padme for all those years, some people really do just clock in, say the words, and clock out. Like, they're not reading scripts. And it's hurting their job, and it's having all these cultural effects.
Yes. This isn't a Jared the Dark Jedi pushback. This is a expansion of that idea. Part of the, because you said, I don't know how to fix this. We're having a conversation because I don't know either, because we got personal examples of our life. In terms of some of those people you're talking about who may have held lightsabers or been in the Imperial Senate or the Republic Senate, they take some interesting themes out of it and mold it around and apply it in a way that everything's open to interpretation, I guess. And that's frustrating and hard to, I don't know how to, because it does become, you're right. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. No, it's just,
you know what I mean by that? I'm not saying that to like, no, I'm just saying.
No, totally.
Some do clock in, clock out.
But you're saying, in addition, there are people that
there's a lot of people
right. Yeah.
that might we've had it in the Force Center where we'll say something rather overtly political about what something's saying, and then someone will comment, how could you not see this? This means and it's like the Trump agenda, and like Star Wars is telling you that, and you're just like,
mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
I don't know. I don't know what to do with that other than a punch in the snoot. Hey,
the brain rot is so deep. It's getting to the point now where it's like, and again, we don't ever want this show to be like hopeless, but like we've had these conversations, like I don't know how to reach people, and when you have someone out there that's like, this stuff does matter, like you have a responsibility, like, and responsibility is the word of Spider-Man, so I'm not trying to be cute about it, but like you can't just say like, I didn't want it to be like woke and annoying. It's like, okay, well then I don't want you to have this job.
Yeah. And so on that, because I jokes aside, especially with the showrunner coming out, like I believe the showrunner, and I think this was a definite. I'm willing to say this could be a big stepping on your own dick kind of thing, to borrow a phrase that I love but don't always use. Stepping on your meat. I willing to give the grace, but it speaks to kind of what we're talking about. Of the, he uses the word annoying. He also talks about it was really well written, which how many times does that come out, right?
Yeah.
Where and again, sometimes things are, and this isn't about, we're not having a debate about, hey, do you like this movie? Do you like that? Is it nicely directed? We're talking about something bigger than that. I want the audience to understand that too. So I don't need any opinions on any specific pop culture. I'm just saying we hear that a lot. And sometimes it is, maybe shows aren't written as well, but that's not the reason, right? We just saw the Skeleton Crew, so well written, because it is. And some of the other shows, the messages somehow got broadcast a little louder. So then it becomes bad writing. And that's this weird shield to use. And that's what this guy's doing that maybe upset me more than anything. It's just so well written. Like, as opposed to the other stuff is being bad simply because it puts out an idea that you don't want to face. I think guys like him don't want to face it. It's not that they think cowardly. Any of that's wrong, anything that Spider-Man's doing wrong. He thinks Spider-Man's a hero. Yeah. But when you attach the meaning to it, hey, this is about wage gap and this and that and the billionaire class. I don't want. What are you woke? What are you woke? No, it's well written because I didn't pick up on it.
They're cowards.
That's a problem. Yeah.
They're cowards. I really don't understand, or I don't have a better way to articulate it than it is cowardice to say that it needs to be, because those same people, if you find it in their quote unquote really well written stuff, right? If we find the messaging and
it's there,
then they say, well, you're just digging. So it's like, okay, but we also put it on the surface for your ass, so you wouldn't have to dig several different times. And so it's like the fact that the fact that it took Andor to make everyone realize the same shit that had been said and all the other ones is an indictment of people. It's an indictment of literacy.
Bad Batch does not get any of this pushback, and it's a little less watched of a show because the unfortunate biases against animation, but I understand that because, again, everything Lion King.
For sure.
Bad Batch is at times harder than Andor, which is saying a lot because Andor's pretty effing hard.
Yeah.
But it doesn't get people, because people aren't talking about Bad Batch as much. But then even Andor becomes a show that is really misinterpreted in bizarre ways by some folks that I can't understand. I'm not here to provide the answer. I just don't understand.
Yeah.
And this seems to be this kind of case from even the performer.
Apologies. I had to give my dog a treat while you were making that great point.
I want a treat too. I'm hungry.
If I could do it right now, man, I would.
Dan says, I also think people just protect their own beliefs because main characters are meant to be related to, and they can't relate to kindness and empathy. I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of what's going on in the world. That's why we say it attaches the bigger world where, that's why this word woke, or now DEI. I grew up in an era of PC, don't be PC, and Bill Maher rises to power because he's not politically correct. He's politically incorrect.
I mean, dude, we have in the last few years, it's become annual now. We've done a speed run through them. Yeah, George Floyd is murdered. It's BLM/Antifa. They use both that year. Then we moved into CRT.
CRT. Yeah.
Then we moved into, I mean, woke has been persistent throughout, but then we had, there was one right before DEI. Can't remember. Someone can tell me. But there's been 4 or 5 of them in the 2020s that have been like the thing. And it's all the N-word. And you can't convince me it's not. Just like, not saying you would, but like no one can. Like it is. Like,
no, Alden.
Ken would be like, well, you know, I think we just need to hear them out. No, it's ridiculous and it's bad. And you put the message out there too. And also, not for nothing, but like if you read a lot of like classic literature, like classic things, like my favorite book, as I've said it before on the show, is The Great Gatsby. That is not a subtle book by any means whatsoever.
Oh,
it's talking about class, and it literally has their houses in new money and old money parts of town on opposite sides of the lake. Like it's just like, what are we talking about here? Like all you're saying when you're like, it didn't force messages, is that you're not mature enough to handle a message, forced or not. You don't want to. You don't want to.
That's why. Yeah. And again, and just offering up how do I even navigate this on personal levels? Like, because those words and those phrases, and now we have an administration run on vengeance that is comically, tragically, to a tragic, destructive, deadly level, comically, trying to remove all this. And people are celebrating it. The people in my life celebrating that. People on my Instagram feed that I'm like hovering over the block button, what their family, and I'm waiting for the time. You know, they celebrate these folks as champions to remove this stuff. But if you phrase it in other ways, and I'm not, by the way, not suggesting the shows should or that Spider-Man did. I'm just, when you phrase it in other ways, they're like, yeah, great idea. Kindness, empathy, also. But when you package it up, it's a weird, and that's part of what I'm trying to get through. Even I've had a conversation this week, but Japan's, we had some blathering yesterday, Japan's fall into fascism in the 20s and 30s versus Germany's fall. We always understandably go to the German one, but that puts up a lot of walls to people because I'm not that, fill in the word that YouTube doesn't like to have said. I'm not that.
Sure.
This is the Elon thing. That's why I personally didn't care about what that was. Careful with my hands. Yeah. Because what behind it is worse. And then people stop at that door. Well, the angle was wrong. He didn't. No one's that. What they are.
And nobody covering it on, especially in our media, our mainstream media, especially, had the courage to point out that the same fucking week he was pushing the far right party of neo, that word we're not supposed to say, I guess, in Germany. Like, you don't need to debate whether or not the salute was that. He just proved it was.
But it was interesting to have the same discussion around the same time with Japan.
Yeah.
By the way, country completely, and a people here in our country completely vilified, as we all know. But it doesn't. It's almost like it'd be this guy, not pick it on this actor, but it's almost like this guy be like, oh yeah, it's the story of the Japan falling to fast. It's not annoying and woke. You know, it's that kind of vibe of just like people have these words, these buzzwords, and this administration's running on them and winning on them and destroying on them. And that's why and this bothers me because I want to shake this guy. And again, totally here to give. I'm waiting for a follow-up statement. Yeah, even Jerry Seinfeld walked back some of his comments about the woke left affecting comedy. Waiting for this guy to do that. Yeah. But I think it's this mindset of just like, I told you, I was going to bring this up. A really good friend of mine, like one of my brothers in arms, man, and we reconnected recently. He doesn't live in LA anymore. He lives back in his home of Texas. And he was a big Star Wars fan. And we were walking around, we were driving around, and he was like, yeah, I don't really like the new ones. I'm like, oh, okay, why? He's like, I just feel as though I have to learn something. They want me to learn something. I don't watch that stuff to learn anything. I don't know how to respond to that. Because it's kind of the spirit of this comment. It's the spirit of this comment.
As you?
A little bit older, but it's the spirit of this comment.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, this wasn't annoying or anything. It wasn't finger waggy. It was just good. It was good. And that's kind of what I've dealt with this friend and other people in my life. Like, why do you have to? I don't want any of that stuff.
It's because there's. We talked about it a little bit last week too. Like, there's anti-intellectualism at the heart of this country. that has just gotten worse and worse and worse. Where it's like the reason I asked if he was in the same age bracket as you is because it's like that means that this guy was a preteen teenager for Empire Strikes Back, which features some of the most "this is a lesson" scenes in cinema history, especially for fantasy. And it's like I don't know how to kindly tell someone, which is probably what you're struggling with as well. I don't know how to kindly tell someone, motherfucker, you did learn. You tuned in. It doesn't have to be Sesame Street to be educational. Like there was another Muppet doing education in that same era.
Yes.
It's like
I think that's an excellent point where we learn. And look, I think if you were to go analyze Sesame Street on a week-to-week basis, which I did as a kid watching it, you're learning some probably pretty liberal, progressive things for the time along the way. But my parents didn't catch it. The church didn't have Sesame Street on the ban list.
No.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm with you because this isn't, to be clear. Because we always talk about, like, hey, if you need to disconnect from your family or you need to disconnect from your friends and you want to make the choice, that might be a good choice for you. And maybe it isn't. And sometimes you can't. And sometimes this is the person that I'm not cutting off. This is the person and he didn't say anything beyond that was bad. But you know what I mean? Like, but I just don't know what to do with that. And I do think it relates to what this guy said, this actor, Hudson Thames. I think said it in that vein of, the difference with this show is we're not teaching anything.
Yeah,
you are.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to engage with that?
It's like, dude, you voiced the scene where he talks about financial hardship and making bad choices and everything. Like it's not just characters that he didn't voice, you know? Because I also paid attention to that. I'm like, okay, is it just all of Spider-Man's friends are diverse?
Okay, great. Great point.
But it's like, no.
I see what you're saying.
Spider-Man also says some of these things in this show. So it's like, I really don't understand that. And again, this guy could have the best heart and be great and like just be stupid one day, whatever. But
I think what happens next determines that. For sure. I believe it because I just don't want to bring it up again. But there was in Star Wars we had this where I personally, Ken Napzok was like, I'm going to wait a couple days to see what this person does, so I understand a little bit of their life. A little bit of their perspective. I'm gonna see what they do, and then they made the choice to. Oh no, okay, they're leaning in.
They're just doing it. Yeah.
They're doing it. Okay, they had a chance, and I know the cast really loves this person, and I know the crew really loves this person, and I know firsthand that the cast reached out, and you still decided to push on. So I want to see what this guy does. Eyes should be on him.
Yeah, and then moving into the Anthony Mackie thing as we start to wind down a little bit. Anthony Mackie is now Captain America. He was formerly the Falcon, one of Steve's close allies. At the end of Avengers Endgame, Ken, Steve, through time travel shenanigans, he decided to live out the rest of his life in peace. I
had a good life. Pick up the shield.
Then he was the scene. Exactly. Then he was Captain Joe Biden at the end. He looked just like Joe Biden. It's a great effect, but he looked just like Joe Biden. And then he said, Cap, Steve, I want you to, or Sam, I want you to be Captain America. Great. Perfect. Awesome. This was his quote. They were in Rome promoting the new film. A film called Brave New World, a film which features the President of the United States as the main side character, a film that is all about a resource grab with different international parties, but let's not get political. So he said, Captain America represents a lot of different things. And I think the term, America should be one of those. And I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. It's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It should be noted, as it was already in the comments, Chris Evans, when he was playing Captain America, when Steve Rogers still had the mantle, he had said about his Captain America movies, these are not flag-waving movies. The character of Captain America has always been about an America that never existed, but ideally could and should. It's always been aspirational. You especially like we're just looking at these films, like it's hard to like put it in the context of like all the history of comics, but like even if you just look at the films, his very first one, Stanley Tucci plays Dr. Erskine, the guy that gives him the super soldier serum, and he says like, why do you want to kill Nazis? And he's testing him. He wants to see what his response would be before he chooses him as the candidate. And Steve says, I don't want to kill anyone. I just don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from. And so his mentality and spirit, the spirit of the character was always about the best of us, even if we're not that. He's always been a character that has acknowledged in the stories, in the characters around him, and in his own written words by various writers, that he does have disappointment for this country. He does wish it could be better. He's just not going to back down. He has a lot of great iconic speeches that lots of comic book fans will love. There was even a moment where Captain America acknowledged 9/11, as a lot of comics did at the time. But Cap has an iconic moment where he says, one of the only times that I've ever felt like disappointment, I'm paraphrasing, but he says, it's like when we didn't rebuild the towers. He's like, that always bothered me. He's like, you shouldn't stay down. He's like, we should have just rebuilt the towers. Like, the character has always been very like out of time, but also out of culture. He's always been what America purports itself to be. And that's just fundamental. That is across the board. So then, of course, the right wing freaks out because they can't handle anything. Like, it's, again, the hypocrisy of our age is that they are just like, it is impossible for them to deal with anything that makes them the slightest bit uncomfy about anything. So then he has to put out a statement on his Instagram story saying, let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. Ken, you're a smart man, and you've been around longer than I have, and you probably have, over the course of your life, had more love for this country than I ever have at any point in my life. So tell me, in your assessment of the situation, why in the holy mother of fuck did he have to clarify this? And part B of that question is, whenever did he bring the troops into it at all?
One of the reasons he had to was the same reason we questioned things earlier: reps, people, studio. Yeah, which is, I'm not going to say understandable, but you know, Anytime is a free, independent media organization run by the both of us. But there's things I couldn't say on Movie Talk, right? You know, so that kind of falls. That's not an excuse for everything. I'm just trying to start there. That's why. The big why behind that is the frustration I think you're feeling, and the frustration that we're feeling, just overall of it's the caveats. It's like, you know, we have this era of let me explain. I did not say I hate clams. I said I hate clam chowder. Like that, you know, like the
Ken Knapsack, anti-clam.
Yeah. So I feel him on that, but I'm hearing you read it, but I hear some anger in his voice that he even has to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's hard to read
a
tone, but like knowing that, and you've been around the guy at least once, right, in the office. Like he's always had a comedic, like, kind of don't give a fuck, but in an endearing way. He's a very jokey man. He's a very, like, he's got, as kids would say, swag. You know,
you know, it's funny. I actually have not. I was not in the office. I saw him. Me and a former coworker met him on the streets in San Diego. Right before he blew up, and jovial, nice, friendly, as much as you could be on the sidewalk. Yeah. But no, your point is taken. Adam Driver was there for and got told, don't look him in the eyes and don't ask Star Wars, which wasn't from Adam, but his people. Yeah. I lost my place. Here's the. Yeah, it's frustrating because this goes to maybe my bigger picture arguments that I'm dealing with in my own life. I'm not just putting my own life into it, but just the fact that if you know, Colin Kaepernick, sports, takes a knee, asks a military veteran, how do I love and respect my country by hope, but also indicate that I'm hoping for it to be better? Take a knee. And then that turns into get out of the country. This is things I even trying to discuss some of the issues that we all here in chat have probably dealt with people in our lives, where you're like trying to discuss things, even where I'm like, free market might have been a good idea. We didn't have it. Capitalism is crushing us. Well, then get out of the country. You know, like it's these God America thing.
Love it or leave it.
Love it or leave it. Freedom fries. Freedom fries is the ultimate. We should have blown everything up there. Pun not intended. Apologies for that phrase, but like that we should have rebooted everything then. Freedom.
It was an early sign for sure.
It was an early sign of oh no. And that Mackie speaking the truth of the character, Chris Robbins now, Steve Rogers, Chris Evans. Mackie's definitely getting a lot of heat for it now. I'm sure Evans took some heat. I don't remember.
I wonder what the difference is between these two men.
There's a difference, and I saw someone. This is now a DEI cap, right? This is what we're gonna get if we haven't already, right?
Oh, for sure.
And we'll all roll into one stew of shit. So, anyways, I'll stop rambling.
Yeah.
Did I make any sense?
No, you did make sense, and I think you're right. Like it is these cultural effects that go back to especially those early 2000s of like American superiority and America first mentality that we see now, and all this stuff. It comes from deep insecurity that we are completely above not just criticism from others. We're above self-reflection has become a really big thing, which like is not a problem that French people seem to have. They love to reflect to the point of they celebrate when bad people die, as we covered on this show, like which we do not do. We pearl clutch when bad people die. We immediately, if Trump got assassinated right now,
cut to the Ewoks dancing.
Let me just live in that mentality. Let me just live in that reality for a second. Thank you for yes, please yum nub while I imagine this.
Don't get us demonetized here on the first day.
If our dear, wonderful president were to come under any harm, which we certainly do not hope happens, ever, I know that the coverage would immediately be like, we disagreed with him on some things, but he was a father. Like they would immediately start the pro culture because we cannot reflect. We cannot do it.
You're predicting the phone call I'll have that day.
We can. Yeah, 100%. The 100%. I mean,
what about Ivanka?
It gets said right. Like it gets said before. It's not an original thought, but like if today's Democrats had to respond to like Adolf Hitler's suicide, they would be like, look, he was married. And he was a
dog owner. He loved his dog.
If any of you out there are experiencing
and killed his dog, by the way,
we're putting the hotline here for you to like. Anyway, so we're a pearl clutching nation. Italians know their history too. I'm not saying it's perfect anywhere, but like, they were hanging that Elon Musk and effigy upside down where they beat Mussolini's corpse. Like these are people that immerse themselves in their history. Yeah. America doesn't like that. We don't want to reflect. We don't like any of this. And Steve Rogers stood out as a character, as Eli from In a Galaxy pointed out in the comments. 2 of his 3 films, the American government in some form is the villain. And so it's like he is within and without. He's an ideal, but he's also the reality. He is. He has Tony Stark as his brother in arms, but also his foil because Tony is this industrialist, futurist, self-centered when he started, but then like he learns from Cap how to be altruistic, and it's an ongoing thing that happened over many movies, but at the core of it, it's that. And so obviously there's racism baked into this, of course, because people didn't like when Sam got the shield in the comics. They don't like it now because they don't like black people. Like this is just, there are some things we just need to accept. America has a huge problem with any change to things we consider sacred, especially when it's black people and women. That's just a fact. And nerds are horrible about this. By and large, they are horrible about this. They don't like any change, but they especially don't like these changes. It's a miracle that, certain people were able to pass the torch in comics history, but it was usually white guy to white guy, like how there's been multiple Flashes and things like that. If Robin had been black, no one would be saying he should take up Batman's mantle. But Robin was white. And so when he did take it over for a while, everyone was like, okay, we like Dick Grayson as Batman. Like, we could be down with that. We're always holding them to different standards. But Anthony Mackie didn't say anything wrong. And it baffles me, not just emotionally and socially, but it also baffles me business-wise that these motherfuckers that want this to open globally and want it to do well all over don't want to acknowledge that Captain America can be for everyone. Like, do you think that your end game level success, the peak of not just their business, but of the business, that $300 million opening weekend that we'll probably never see again ever, do you guys think that came from like America first mentalities, or from like having to clarify repeatedly that we love the troops? Like, I would love to meet the veteran that was offended by him saying what he said about Cap. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And
well, you'd meet some of them. Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But
yeah. Well, there's some thoughts. This is great stuff. So I want to highlight some comments. First of all, we got to highlight a super chat from Jen Maddow. Brought up that when President DeMoron said he has common sense. What a joke. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. We are monetized, partnered here. This I just want to highlight this because it really is just a great meta joke. Steve says Kissinger made it to 100. Billy Joel had a point. You got to know Billy Joel songs. You get that one there. Jen says this, as we as a country is only 250-year-olds. We're like 2-year-olds in comparison to other countries. When you look at it that way, it's not surprising. We're going to snow. And I heard that Jerry also is going back to Sesame Street. His ex-wife, Sesame Street did make some lists. Oh, hiss. Man, so here, you said something that made me think of because we're both we're just talking about this. We don't know. And I look at how I grew up. We're generationally divided, generation and a half divided, maybe. Yes. I know you're not Gen Z, but like young millennial, but like
sure.
I say me and the old millennials are the last to grow up with learning the story we all been sold of America, where I did learn about Manifest Destiny in class, and it was, isn't that great? And so when things started to become different or challenged, or if Obama wins, I'm leaving the country. Well, then why don't you? Like I came from that world, and the moment real history starts to be in front of you, it's the hardest thing for us to get through. I've had this conversation around Lincoln. Well, I would argue, is a great president. He also blah blah blah, and there's great docs about let's go the truth of it. But he's claimed as the greatest by these Republicans, and when you point out any kind of truth about him, that does not take him down at all, but just says, oh well, he wasn't great friends with Frederick Douglass. They only actually were in person twice, like in the same space. Like in fact, Douglass kind of didn't trust. Then it becomes this. What do you hate America? Like it goes to that energy. And I'm trying to untangle that, and that's why there's a lot of things I have hope for in terms of the next generations, and there's other things I have worries about. The Roganification of the young men in this country is a big problem. But I think I go to that kind of stuff because that's why I always say like we can't until we untangle God from it too. Not erasing God, or not saying that God is bad, but just until it's what you talk about. It is this like, it's the pearl clutching of, because we were sold, my generations and beyond, we were sold this written history, how the West was won, was a victory for us over these people in our way of our manifest destiny, these people here before. We won, we took it. And that was our history. And when it's challenged, it sucks. It hurts. You don't know what to do with it as a youngster.
And when it has persisted. I mean, we did a lot of coverage, obviously, on the whole electoral process of our last election cycle. It has persisted to the point where even in calls for resistance against the fascism that we are now currently experiencing solidified in Trump's second term, even in the fight against it, there was pearl clutching amongst our own ranks of like, how dare you criticize Joe Biden? Do you want Trump? That fear of introspection and that anxiety and that
it's anxiety,
real insecure childishness at the core of our country. I think our friend Nikki Kumar on his Instagram called this the fake Gucci handbag of developed nations. Like it really is. Like we seem like we're this great thing, but like. It is.
We're sold on the street for $10. $8. All right, $8. I'll give it to you for $8.
I'll give it to you for $8. I need those other 2 to get a hot dog right up on the next cart. It's really, really embarrassing, and it's like I don't understand why, especially when it comes to Captain America. We'll see Superman later this year, of course, who is an immigrant, also Jewish coded. Is the story of Moses? Does Superman famously in a storyline that pissed everybody off, renounced his American citizenship at one point because he protects the entire world. And it was like this whole thing. And it was like, well, he landed here. By the way, wouldn't that also qualify as like some kind of birthright citizenship? I'm just saying.
That's birthright. I think it's birthright citizenship. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like, does birthright citizenship account for alien space pods that land in Kansas? Lawyers, please sound off. I don't understand why people are so afraid of these truths. And my last thing on it, I guess, as we close would be, and we talked about this recently, we're not going to name names, but like there was somebody in your life who like was like, I just don't really like Star Wars anymore, but like won't leave. And so it's like, I also have that with these people where it's just like, if these Captain America comments pissed you off so much, maybe I'm answering my own question. Maybe they're not intelligent to realize why it's pissing them off or like to put it in the context. But it's like, if you're like, fuck what Anthony Mackie said, I don't like that. He doesn't like America. Please, for yourself and everyone else, don't buy a ticket and stop engaging. Go away. Leave the character behind. Leave Spider-Man behind. Leave Superman behind. Leave Star Wars behind. For whatever reason it is. But it's like these people, I said this to you in text about this other conversation, they stay on the dance floor bitching and moaning about the set list, arms crossed. And everybody that's trying to dance has to look at them kind of like, what the fuck's this guy's deal? And they're miserable. And in some cases, they go and they peek their head at the phone and they look at the playlist and they start criticizing that. Or then they start, then they go to the open bar, they grab a drink, they moan about politics, they come back. So that that doesn't make sense to me on a fundamental level. I don't want to be in situations that I don't like to be in. If I don't like something, it is super easy for me to stop with it.
Yeah.
I don't
outside of the money issue, which is a truth about if you're making money off talking about it. I think there's a feeling of being left out, especially if it's something, let's just say the Star Wars involved. Again, we did not in the 80s talk about Endor and the Battle of Endor. I'm not talking about the movies, but I'm talking about Return of the Jedi being a Vietnam allegory. We didn't talk about that. That wasn't talked about. There wasn't a lot of George Lucas quotes to find about it. It was there. It was present. Clearly, we know. And so when it started to become that, there's a lot of like, it changed. I didn't. When it's not that case at all. And why are you? Because I've had people say, why do you always do that? Why can't you just talk about the laser swords? In which we do, by the way. And I think that's why they're on the dance floor. Yeah. That's why they're on the dance floor. Because they're like, I was enjoying dancing, and now the song's changed, and this is I'm angry about it, and and then they dominate, and then we have to your point, we have to dance around them instead of over them.
Yeah, it's really, really weird. And also, I laughed a little bit while you were talking and making your point, because it's like the way that Force Center gets accused of being, people act like you guys are like liberal arts professors, like teaching like Marxist like literature. Like you guys literally, this is not to take away from the great analytical work you guys do right now and have always done. I just yesterday posted about your scene by scene.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Which I love that video. I re-listened to it. You guys also just like spent like the last few weeks ranking outfits and stuff. So it's like there's fun to be had. It's just
Joseph and Jennifer are tremendously smart. I'm the dummy at the end of the bar, but that's why it works. But it's like I always say, like, yeah, sometimes we are just Leo pointing at the screen, going, "Hey, there's what this is. Yeah. This is what this means." Yeah. We're not digging deep, but yeah. Anyways, another time.
And that's how I feel too with like these comic book heroes. Like I'm a big Marvel and DC fan. I have been my whole life. Star Wars always been my number one first love, but like those things are right there for me. And it's like I remember, even if you've never read a comic, like I remember like Raimi Spider-Man 2, the iconic scene. I mean, this is a thing in all Spider-Man movies where like New Yorkers realize that they can also help. Like that's like a trope in Spider-Man. And like the diverse group of New Yorkers on that train that saw him fight Doc Ock. One of them is comedian Joey Diaz. Fun fact. And they're there, they see him unmasked and they're like, he's just a kid. And they like protect his identity. There's solidarity happening amongst the middle class in this movie.
Yeah.
In this blockbuster movie.
What was that? 2003?
2004. Yeah. And And it's insane that these are things. And again, it comes from all the way back to the beginning. Everyone is entitled to your opinion. You are not allowed to, make shit up that is not true.
Yeah.
All
right.
I don't get it.
I'll watch Cap now.
I mean, you weren't going to see. Be honest with me. You weren't at least curious to see Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk. You weren't at all curious.
No, I'm not. It doesn't move the needle for me.
I'm so excited to see Harrison. What I love about this is that Harrison Ford. This will be our positive note to end on. Harrison Ford, sometimes fairly, but like I think it got overboard. Was accused of like you see it still. I'm sure on Force Center comments and things like Harrison hates talking about Star Wars. Harrison hates Star Wars. Harrison never hated Star Wars. Harrison got burnt out on it being the only thing people ever spoke to him about.
Yeah.
But like he started to come around on it way before Disney. Like it was like the 30th anniversary. They did like a children's hospital screening, and like he credits that as being like when he started to come around. So it's like we need to stop with the he hates the things that he worked on. Like that man. You could see him crying talking about Indiana Jones several times. Like he's a passionate man.
Yeah, he just
So people like when he took over this role, because this was William Hurt's role as a general and now President Ross.
That's right.
He passed away, so Harrison is a recast. When he took over the role, there was so much discourse of like, God, it's gonna be so funny to see Harrison Ford, being interviewed by all these nerds, and he's gonna be rolling his eyes. He's gonna hate it. He is having so much fun doing this press tour. He is joking around. He's like this. He is handling, I think, being elderly probably the best that I've ever seen someone handle being elderly.
Oh, he's home run with it. Yeah, absolutely.
He's living life.
Yeah. He's just he's an artist, and that stuff can be a trap. Everyone has felt. Remember Daisy was. I'm good. I'm done. I did it. It was a wonderful experience, and now she's back. And you could say cynically, it's money bags dropped in front of you, but you could also say what I choose to believe, which is her going, yeah, this story worked for me, and there's more to tell. Because I'm now 10 years removed.
Also, why not both? It's like, why not both?
Get your money.
Dial of Destiny is a perfect example. Like, I know that man was paid handsomely for that movie. He also used that money to tell a story about how he feels being 80. Like, that's what that movie is at its core.
Absolutely. We're out of here soon here. Eric, final comments. Extra Cheddar says, in my 20s, I also learned that what I learned in a rural community in the Midwest, there was zero critique of America other than slavery bad. But then we were told the Civil War was about states' rights. Yeah, states' rights, the lost cause mythology that's still rampant today. And then Jared says, random Alden need more Castle Talk episodes. So that's on you, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I need more Castle Talk episodes.
It's on me too. But
we're figuring it out. I'll tell you guys, like off camera, behind the scenes, like almost every week when we finish one of these, we discuss it. Yeah, it's just like you guys have and this is not woe is us. Like obviously there are people in way worse positions, but like you guys have no idea the lack of time and resources that happen. Like it's a miracle that Force Center, Blathering, Anytime, and everything all work. I'm speaking for you here, but like I hear you tell me how crazy shit is, and you still make all these things happen. Like you are functioning at critical mass. So it's just like it really is just there's not any more room. If we could invent an 8th day of the week, you would get Casually Talk all the time. We love doing that, but
please, I'd like some more. No, we're all surviving. We're doing it, and we appreciate you. You all have helped us grow immensely in the last week, so we really appreciate that. That's my final word. Alden, what's your final word? And let's get on out of here.
My final word, trying to end somewhat positively, is that I appreciate all of you. I'm really, really. I had a shitty week, and now I feel a little bit better. So I'm gonna go indulge in the devil's lettuce and eat some burgers.
It's a late Friday for you. It's a lunchtime for me. I'll be live on Force Center 2 o'clock. Joseph and I will be live with Q&A. So hang out over there. We'll see you next week. Thanks for your support. Thanks for super chats. Thanks for all that. Thanks for liking this video, doing all those things. We'll see you next time here on Anytime with Ken Alden. Bye.